call the Art Commission meeting to order for, what day are we on? The 10th. Okay, I was going to say the 7th, but that's how many messages are waiting for me, so that's, all right, here, wait a minute, let me get my thing where I'm supposed to start. All right. Amelia, thank you. If we didn't do that, we would not be able to have the meeting. Okay? Yeah, you can go home, that's it. You're done. Your job is done here, okay. Now that we've called to order, the meeting to order, thanks to Amelia, we'll do the roll call. Position 1, Carla. J.R. Russell, me, the chair. Position 3, vacant. Still not here. Okay. Position 4, Valerie. Position 5, Cynthia Mason. Position 6, Tracy. Position 7, Therese.
Here.
Position student member from the high school, Reese. Okay. Council member ex officio, Chris Wigenstein. Negative. He's not here at the moment, so I don't know if he's coming or not. Okay. So with that, you've got the agenda in front of us. I just want to make sure that where we have you guys are. No, we're going to move that. Yeah, we want to make. Hold on, let me see if we got you so we can move you all the way up to the front. Yes, you're on 5E. I recommend we move that all the way up to. They can stay if they want. Yeah, they can stay if you want. But. Yeah, but we'll, after you talk, and then you're like, oh, man, you're free to go out like one at a time, so, don't everybody pick up and go, sneak out, okay? So we'll move E up to A. Anybody else have any additions or anything?
Nope, I'll second that change.
Okay, all in favor? Okay, so we're voting on that. We're just making to bring you up to the front, so now it's approved. You guys get to go first. So the agenda's approved. Now we've got the minutes that are in front of everybody from our last meeting that was on March 13th, which was a lot of stuff. Did everybody have a chance to look at the minutes? Does anybody have any comments on the minutes or want to? I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as presented. I'll second it.
Okay. All in favor? Good. We're off and running. Public comment. Now, public comment, that's where I thought you guys were coming in, but we invite people from the city if they want to come in here, because this is the Art Commission, so if they wanted to come in and say something, because you're public, you could. And during this time, citizens may comment on subjects of interest not on the agenda or agenda items to ensure the comments are recorded properly. If you were here and wanted to talk, you'd state your name, you'd go right up there and speak. And we give you 3 minutes. And I see that we have 2 public comments that are submitted online, unless you guys want to make a public comment on anything. You're happy? Okay. So the 2 public, we've got one from Susie Caruso and Desiree Vega. And I don't know if you can, oh, it's in the packet. Oh.
They don't have anything to do with art.
Yeah, because I see that it says Marina, so. So that really, I didn't read the comments, so I think it doesn't apply to us. Okay. With that, we're done with public comments. Now we can move on to discussion and action of presentation and report items. And the new item 5A, which is now is E, is from Sherry McLean. Do anybody know a McLean? Is there a McLean here? Wants to talk about the Gary Wood request? Anyone? Anyone? Come on up. Yes, go right back there, and there's a mic. I think you have to turn the button. You might have to turn the button on so that we can hear you.
Up top the button? Hello? Hello? Okay.
There you go.
Perfect.
Because you're on TV land.
I was aware, yes.
Okay.
My husband does a school board, so yes, you're always on TV.
Okay.
First, Daislaw, which is Hannes for hi. I'm Sheree McLean, and I am a mom of 5. We have triplets and twins. The triplets are turning 11 tomorrow, and they attend Home Connection, which is also hand in hand the same building as Virtual Academy as well. And they're making the new building, which is down the road. And so I'm on various committees for the school to try to help support schools. And I'm very passionate about it because my mom, who is here as well, Denise May, has been a school teacher in our district for 30 years, I think. So I'm very passionate about schools and kids, and just making sure that they have the best buildings possible and funding for everything that they need. So we also are very strong for the levy that just happened. You probably saw us on the street with signs. So anyways, I was on the committee for choosing the name for the new schools that are the new school, because Crescent Harbor is going to keep their name, but Home Connection is hand in hand, and Virtual Academy is confusing, so they're making a new name to name the school. And when that came up, somebody brought up that there's some of the Gary Oak left, which when that whole thing happened was very tragic and hard, and so it's kind of like the Oak Harbor's unicorn. You know what I mean? Like everyone talks about it, but nobody knows what's there or whatever. So back in October, I started reaching out to people, the Gary Oak Society, and what my hope with the Gary Oak is that I would like to have Indigenous people carve the oak and to put it into all of the schools, not just the 2 new schools, but all of the schools, because a 330-year-old tree is something that should be honored and preserved for generations to come. It's really rare to find a tree that's old growth tree. And so our family's tribe is the tribe in Oregon. It's called the Confederated Tribes of Coos, Lower Umpqua, and Siuslaw. And we're very active with our tribe. We just got back from the tribal camp we had down there where they learned the language. We do a lot of art, a lot of like basket making, learning how to pull cedar, the traditional games and things like that. And most everything is done with art in mind. And so when we're doing the cedar or we're using wood or we're eating fish, every part is sacred and you don't disregard it. So I wore this today, our medicine pouch. So like even if I'm making earrings, which today I was going to bring you all one, it's called a Hisayach, which means from a good heart. So typically when you do anything, you always make something to give away to somebody before you make something for yourself. But when we're making the jewelry or anything, if a piece breaks off from the sacred shells or anything, we put them in the pocket. And then when we're out on hikes or things like that, and remove anything from the wood, we put it back into the ground to honor taking something away. So I just wanted everyone to know, so my heart, my Hisayach is coming from a good place of that. I would love to be able to use the Gary Oak that's left for art to go into all the schools, not just the 2 new schools, because I believe that there should be representation in all of the schools for the Indigenous people who were here when the Gary Oak was alive and living. And I've talked to local tribes. My sister is actually an archaeologist, and she works for the Samish tribe. She's the one that did the site, checking out to make sure there's no Indigenous things on the property before they started building. And so I've talked to city council members on various different local tribes and the woodworkers. I haven't sent them pictures of what Brian sent me of what's left, because I don't want to show anyone what's left, because I don't want, you know what I mean? I don't want it to be out there before it's an okay from you guys. But my hope would be with the largest part, I've talked to the Gary Oak, they want to, sorry, I had surgery, so if I seem a little off, I can't sit in a little bit of pain. But they want to cut a part of that off to put in the museum in town so that kids can count the ring, and I'm 100%. I think that's a super cool idea. I think they're presenting that to you, or it's in with the emails that they want a slice off the largest part to preserve that. And I think that's a wonderful thing to do, because the educational part as well as preserving part of the tree. So I'm fine with that. And then I also wanted to let you guys know that I would make sure that every piece is honored, so that, like, if people, because sometimes when I looked at the pictures, it was kind of sad to me, because you see people have taken off chunks and just left like a chunk on the ground, where you can make art into anything. So we can use part of those pieces and maybe have some of the art classes in school use their main little pieces to make art to put on the walls of schools as well. So I'm very passionate about art. I actually was an art major before I had kids and worked and had a life. But I wanted to read something. So I grew up in Kingston, Washington, and one of my really good friends was Nigel Lawrence, and he's from the Suquamish tribe. And there was a lot of racism back in the 90s and whatnot of indigenous people and at school. And I saw him struggle really hard. And I wanted to read a poem that he wrote. And this is back in, my mom was his teacher, like 93. I'm old. I think it was 93. So he wrote this. It's actually now in a museum. But it's called I Have a Dream by Nigel Lawrence. I have a dream that one day our canoes will be like a flotilla of canoes, like once was, that each family will own their own canoes, like once was, that one day every Suquamish will know our language, like once was, that if we know any English, it will be as a second language, like once was, that one day only elders will remember a time when we didn't sing, didn't carve, didn't paddle like once was, that one day all the tribes will work together like once was, that one day not one tribe will be alone or outside the family like once was, that one day the hairy chiefs will once again make decisions like once was, that one day my relatives will once again sit in council and make decisions like once was. But before all this, we need to get some land. We need to get some old growth cedar trees, grow big, for log houses, for ocean-going vessels, for totem poles, for our people's children, like once was. And in the article, when he was interviewed, he talks about how art is really important in all cultures and having every culture being represented. And so my proposal to this council is that I would love to use the Gary Oak for indigenous people, or people who will do the art of indigenous craftsmen. And I have some who've said they would donate their time, and if money's needed, then I would be fine collecting the money. Sorry, I'm really tired and I don't feel great. Like I did that for the levy, getting donations to pay for someone to do the carving. But a lot of the indigenous people have been really excited by this and have felt that this would be a beautiful representation to use something that was here when they were here. And in the schools, I think it would be wonderful for kids to see something that's art, right, but also represents a tree that was 330 years old. Is very rare. So anyways, I appreciate your time. I appreciate what you guys do, because I think art is very, very important. And if you have any questions, let me know. I had PowerPoints and different pictures, but it's hard because I didn't share with anyone the actual pictures of the tree, because I didn't want to do that before it was, like said done, because I didn't want anyone to be like, oh, well, you know what I mean? If it was, like, oh, I want to do this with this, but it wasn't okay. Does that make sense? So if you do okay, I'm fine coming back and then showing you the different proposals or whatever you want. But I have a group of people who I'd work with to work on different parts of the trees. I already have a bunch of ideas, and I've talked to different woodworkers in different parts of our area for the different tribes, and there's lots of different things that we could do. So anyways, I appreciate your time, and I appreciate what you do, because art is super important and valuable, and I think it's something that lasts for generations and generations and generations, and it's also can be a teaching tool for children. So anyways, thank you for your time, and I appreciate that we have an art council, because it's really important. So Louis
Okay.
means thank you in Hannes. So Louis.
Well, Sherry, thank you. Ladies, happy birthday. Who's the oldest?
She is the oldest by like 30 seconds.
Okay, all right, 30 seconds, all right.
Yes.
Well, I'll
Do you
open it
have
up
any
for comment. I'll let everyone else go,
Okay.
but just so that you guys should stay, because the next thing we're going to talk about is the art plan, which this is how you will fit in. And I'll have you know, like on the art plan, the very first thing, it's got an acorn on there, and it says, "The creation of 1,000 forests is in one acorn" by Ralph Waldo Emerson. And then on the art plan itself, they turned around and started, if this is going to work, if we're going to bring art in here, it's going to start with the seed. We got to nurture it, yada, yada, yada. And there's even a nice picture of the Gary Oak, or the oak that is downtown, the first
Yeah.
thing that came out of it. So
Yeah.
believe me, this is, you're barking up the right tree. Because, yeah. So
Yes.
I'll open it up for any other comments, because I know, Therese, you must have something. You have anything? Okay.
You can ask me anything. My mom actually helps grow. She has like a bunch of Gary Oaks because she was on.
And I was very flattered that you asked me what year I graduated, like either thinking that you were my teacher or that you and I went to school together. We're well aware of all those, I guess
She
you'd say
grows the
rules,
little
yeah.
acorns and gives them to the Gary Oak Society to plant them all
Okay.
over town.
Does anybody else have anything? Tracy?
Hi, Sherry. Thank you for coming here and talking about your idea. I'm going to be a little newbie because I'm not sure, does the Art Commission own the right to that wood and what happens with it?
Maybe you should pipe in. We don't have the sole say-so. It's kind of a collective, and somewhere along the line, I believe the Gary Oak Society actually has something in writing that they also would get involved with where the
Yes,
wood
and I've
goes.
talked to them, and they
Yeah.
support me, and
So,
I work.
That's your question answered.
Yeah.
And then my next question would be for you, Sherry, so when you're coming here, what is it that you're looking for us to make a decision or to offer something, or what?
It's support. So
Uh-huh.
it's a bunch of people who are in charge of the Gary Oak. And so when I talked to Brian, you're one of the stepping, to go through all the people who have to approve it. And I went through the Gary Oak Society because I thought they had ownership of it, but they don't have full ownership. I think whoever said like a bunch of people do. And so you're just part of someone to say yes or yay or nay if you support the idea of making, art to put into the schools with what's left of the Gary Oak.
And then, just as JR mentioned, we do have an art plan that's just ready to burst out here. We've been working on it for a while now with a third party. And part of that is there is a way of presenting an idea that would outline and give some specifics to it. So we'll certainly, when everything is approved, to share with the public, you will be involved, and we'll,
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
we'll loop you in on that. And then there's a decision process we go through in evaluating. I'm just kind of thinking off the top of my head, what we might want to know is maybe more specifics on the actual art that, the idea of what is going to be created.
Yeah, and so I have a bunch of that, but like I said, I didn't send the pictures of the Gary Oak to people because it got out because I've talked to the indigenous, like the different tribes around, and I had people calling me. So I asked Michelle, who the superintendent, I'm like, did you tell people? Because I had people calling me like, I want a piece to make a bowl because you know what I mean? Like numerous people were calling me. And so I didn't want it to become this big thing, you know what I mean? Like out there in the public, because I think that a lot of people want part of the tree. Does that make sense? And so I didn't feel right about sending out pictures of what's left because it's really unknown to most people in the community how much is left until I got maybe, okay, you're allowed to send that out and then come back with more information. Like I have a bunch of proposals of different things to do with the wood. But again, I didn't want to take that step until it was more approved. Does that make sense? Because I didn't want
And
to
we're
have,
not,
like,
to be blunt, yeah, we're not ready for that.
yeah,
yet.
that's what I'm saying.
So-
It's like I didn't.
So now that we've
Send that
got
out.
you, you're kind of like, okay, now when we start moving with the art plan, we're going
Yeah.
to be starting to reach out to you and you can reach to us.
Yeah, and like I
So-
already had people to talk to who could like move the parts of the tree and all that logistical parts, but I didn't want to do more because,
And we're not ready
Yeah.
for it yet.
yeah.
Cynthia,
So.
you had,
I do. I just want to say Yahoo for your idea coming to life.
Thanks.
Looking at our inventory in Oak Harbor, it's something that's missing. Pieces touched by our native community here and that culture. We have a few murals, but I think it's a missing piece. So I'm all for the idea of using some of that beautiful wood that is in the city's possession
Yeah.
to roll out something like this.
I mean, 330-year-old piece of wood is rare, and so.
I should probably add the idea of having the ring to count the years. That slab has already been cut. That was cut
Oh,
when
okay.
the acorn sculpture started.
Oh, was
So
it?
that-
Okay, 'cause
that's
Gary-
already been cut and
Oh.
identified. At one point, I thought it was going to go into the interpretive center, but
okay.
I don't think the home of where it will reside has been officially decided, but
Oh,
there
okay.
is a piece already identified for that
Okay,
education.
because I just know, like, when
Yeah.
I talk to Brian and all, I mean, it's been since October, I've been talking to people because and the Gary Oak Society gave me their okay, and they just said that, so I knew there was a part, I didn't know it was already cut. I just was like, yeah, cool, take a part of what you want, because I think that's a wonderful thing to have the counting, also to preserve it for generations.
so what I would recommend for you to have a better understanding right now is stay for this next piece.
Okay.
Because we're going to move on to our next thing, which is the Oak Harbor Art Plan Final Draft Approval Update.
Okay.
And we'll probably chat a little bit here about the art plan itself, and you can get a little bit, you might
Okay.
get a little insight on this.
Cool, that'd be wonderful. Yeah, Nana can take the kids to her house up the street if she wants, and I can stay.
Okay,
Go Nana.
so we're going to
All
move
right,
on.
Louis.
Thank you again. Hope you feel
Thank
better.
you.
Happy birthday again. And we're going to move on to item 5, the new 5B, which is going to be the Oak Harbor Art Plan Final Draft Approval Update and Rollout Plan. And I see BC is there. Does that mean that Bobo's out there someplace in Neverland? That's boring. Brandy, I'm glad you're here. I thought that was like Bobo Kai, and I was going to get all excited but never mind. So just for a little background, Cynthia and I were here for the workshop. We got here at 1 o'clock, and we actually got on at 5 o'clock to present the draft art plan. And it was the slides, and I don't think we have them in front of us, but the presentation was basically what Bobo prepared for us that had a rollout of it. It was, everyone was pretty happy about that. So, in fact, they were excited about it, and I did mention to them, to the council, that the big thing will be, once we get this, is, okay, it's just a plan. How do we staff this, and how are we going to make this work? Because it's not us that are going to do all this. All these appendices are very important as far as how to get stuff in and out. Oh, yeah. Did anybody not see these slide? You didn't, did you see, not? You saw them? Okay. Yeah, okay. Yes, it's the presentation, and the other thing that came out of it, they were happy with us going to the Oak Harbor Chamber in May, and we have to get together with Maggie. Oh, that's it. Is that on there? Okay. But anyways, the next step would be to roll this out so that Oak Harbor now knows that there's an art plan that you're involved with, we're all involved with. And it's not just the Art Commission, it's not the city, it's Oak Harbor. So it went well, and I guess we'll be up for approval next regular meeting. I'm not sure when the next council meeting,
It's on April 15th.
That'll be on another agenda item.
yeah, that's
The next regular session is the 18th, no, I'm sorry.
15th. So it'll be basically running through those slides again.
As long as they made the color changes and stuff like that.
The big thing that they wanted, or that I wanted, on the very first slide, I wasn't aware of Bobo, if it's back, it's so perfect. It's got the square and the number is not centered.
No, but we were talking about the grid thing we couldn't see.
Yet, they didn't have any problem with that. They're all looking at their tablets and sitting up here, no one,
Well, the chamber has a little screen like this when you go, depending on where you go.
the only, they didn't have any problem. The only thing they had a problem with is when you flash up the maps and all the real tiny stuff, unless they've got their tablets right in front of them, unless you have that, you're just staring, yeah. Reese?
The only thing I would suggest then is if we take it to chamber, we have a QR code so people can scan it and use their phones versus, and
Oh.
then we have a presentation too. So that way they can.
That'll be, we'll take it down. We're gonna bring that down to when we get to that part on the agenda. Reese,
So we're next regular meeting for us, we're going to be approving this to go to council.
the next regular meeting of council, they're approving it all
I see.
together.
Okay, because we did that last meeting, I remember.
Yep.
Okay.
You have anything else we need to talk about on that then?
I will add, though, for you, standing here, within the plan, there are actual documents that would take you into a process and instruction on how to outline your idea. So as soon as we're crossing our fingers that council adopts this plan, one of us will reach out to you, JR most likely, to let you know where to find those documents once they go live online. And we can get your wonderful idea rolling. It might take, forever and a day, like some things do around here, but we'll get it going. Yep. Perfect.
Okay,
JR,
yes.
I do have just a small report from, we did meet Brian and Maggie and myself to talk about an art plan rollout, and then I drafted, it's on, can you hear it? Is it on? Okay. And then I just drafted up typed up some notes from it, so I'm gonna come just hand it to you and give one for the record, so I didn't get in early.
When we get to the Oak Harbor, the luncheon, the chamber luncheon, we can talk about this then. Coming around. Oh. We'll read it when we do the rollout for the chamber? Or read it right now? Art plan rollout?
So here's just a kind of outline of what we discussed. Maggie is going to draft a press release about the approval of the art plan itself. She'll send the draft for the commission chair and co-chair to review and add edits, and of course that can be shared out with the full commission for any kind of edits or additions as well. She'll have that ready for after April 15th, so when the plan is presented and hopefully approved, and once it is approved, then Maggie will share out that press release. At that time, we'll also do a Facebook post on both the city and the Parks and Recreation page highlighting the approval of the new plan. But really what we talked about and want to make sure is happening is that we're creating what the visuals are around the art plan, that the messaging that we want to get out, right? So Maggie would like to set a meeting for a strategic planning meeting with Maggie, myself, Brian, JR, and Cynthia. I'm sure anyone else would be invited, but we make sure we get those people in the room. And what we've talked through was wanting to create an art plan visual, right? So I know like the cover of the art plan is the yellow with the seed acorn. That's it. Thank you. but not, in our conversation with Maggie, she felt like maybe that wasn't really just the best image of when we're sharing what the art plan is, what is the image that we want to be putting out, right? Like of what the art plan is. So we would like to create what that visual is that's going to tell the story of the art plan, right? And then we want to talk about what community presentations will look like, what is being highlighted and shared, and kind of create a slide deck. I think JR is queued up and ready to hit the town and do the presentations in front of different community organizations. So we would like to help create a slide deck for what that presentation is. And the discussion that we had, and I think really encapsulates what we've discussed here with the commission, is that the art plan is really like the instruction manual for building something, right? So the art plan itself, showing everyone the plan, is like, here, look at this manual for building this beautiful IKEA shelf, right? When really they want to see what we're building, what the shelf is, right? And so what is it that the art plan is doing, and how did we get the art plan is really what we want to show, right? So it is very exciting that we have the art plan and that's approved, but I think the bigger piece of the story we're wanting to communicate to our community is all of the public input that came from doing the art plan and what that was, what the direction is that we've received from the public and what we're taking forward, and how the commission is going to utilize that art plan in these next phases, and what the Art Commission is currently doing in the community in aspects that you already have in supporting local programs and events and such. So I think that really is the full picture of what this art plan rollout is, not necessarily saying, hey, look at this big document, it's really cool, but what it's doing, right? So we want to sit down and come up with what that presentation looks like, and then create a list of outreach opportunities to share the presentation at. So we'll talk about the May Chamber luncheon that's already in the works, and then both our Rotary Club, Seroptimus, and any other club or entity that we want to, but that was just the start of the list that we talked about. And then Maggie had a really wonderful idea of potentially creating a blog for the Art Commission that would be found on a updated art page on our city website, and having that kind of assigned out to art commissioners and having a rotation of every other week or once a month, whatever that looks like, where you are writing about the work that the Art Commission is doing, or some creative piece that's happening in the community, or something from the art plan itself, and helping to bring that art plan kind of to life for the community. And then from that blog and the pieces that are created there gives us content to work with as well, right? So that was a great idea that she had as well. So that's the discussion that we had, and kind of the next steps forward that we would like to take.
Liz,
Yes.
Thank you very much for this. I would hope that the meeting to get the slide deck together can happen before the next public workshop about the redevelopment downtown, because I hope that we can have a table there, and that date is the 17th of April. So if you and and the team at the city want to reach out to us with a couple of dates before that, that would be ideal.
That is perfect, and I did mean to put an asterisk that like this doesn't have to happen after. The strategic meeting can definitely happen prior to the art plan being approved on the 15th, right? So I think that's a really good thing to note that, and I know we have that on our agenda to talk about too, so that would make a lot of sense, before April 17th, yeah?
Yep, I'd like the idea of the blog too. I think that fills an immediate need that we've been wanting from the city internally about expressing what we're working on.
Yeah.
And I think that's a real good, quick fix to that.
Yeah, and I'll just make note, the redevelopment of downtown waterfront workshop, I know we'll talk about that in a little bit, but they won't be doing presentations, they'll be more like open house, but we'll talk about having a table. So how do we take that presentation and put it into maybe a trifold or a one-page flyer that then can be handed out, right? So I'll add that on here. Thank you.
Valerie?
So I think the showcase of the process is a great idea. I'm new, so I think if we could showcase the process of how we did the acorn statue and how we did the angel statue, make it like a small blurb or something, or a blog, that would be good. Also, moving forward too, are we developing a shelter for the acorn? So that could be a process too that people could be included in as well. The who, what, when, where with the art plan, I think we could go back to 5 meetings from now of people that have come and presented. And we have people that have already showed interest. And once we get the documentation approved by city council, we already have, 6, 7 people that are already interested in the process. So we can also document that and show that in a blog too, of these people were here before we developed this plan, and this is how we're rolling it out. And that's all I got.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of good content that could be shared on something like a blog that then can archive it and it can be there and we can pull from it and use it as a resource.
And there are 2 strategic meetings that need to take place. The one is, yes, how we roll this out to the public. And like you said, here's the instructions. We can now build an IKEA entertainment center.
I should have thought of something like way better. I was just thinking of
I'll
something that
give
has
you
a big
that one.
manual, right?
But the elephant in the room is who? And how do we get there? And we have to have another that's where the real strategic meeting would occur, a workshop, whatever it is that we've come out in this thing, that our step 1 is where we start to take everything that you've just mentioned and people that have come to us to how to prioritize and what's our first step on how do we want to go. Because up until now, we haven't really been able to figure out what our first step is now that the art plan is approved. And who is doing the blog? Who's updating this? Who's going to do this? Who's going to do that?
Is the new post for the communications intern something that's going to be going towards helping the art plan and the art commission?
From my understanding is it'll be a citywide, just as Maggie does a little bit for everyone, this individual will as well. So it would be more than likely that that individual would help support.
Okay, I know we were looking for someone who was going to roll this out, make sure everything was, answering the emails, responding to people, and so that sounds like a great idea. Thank you.
Any more on the art plan? Hold on. If not, let's move to the Chalk Fest 25 update. I'm sorry about that. I'll turn on my mic. We will now move to the Chalk Fest 25 update, and I'll turn that over to Cynthia. Do you want me to?
No,
you do.
I'll take it. Update. After our last meeting, I don't know if everybody saw, we had a wonderful article in the Whidbey News Times. That was a surprise to a few of us, but it caught the eye of the promoter that we've been talking to about this event. And I had a conversation with him the very next day after our meeting. After speaking with him and the details of what it takes, we're going to have to postpone the event from happening this July to possibly next July. The date certainly wasn't picked, but the bottom line of my report tonight is that it will not happen in 2025. There's just not enough time. And I'm the one preaching to do things right. And for the dollar amount, council had a few concerns about spending that much money and getting it right. Tracy also questioned that a few meetings ago. So my ask tonight with that news would be that the Arts Commission recognizes that it might go into contract by the end of the year. I mean, there's nothing signed around this event, so the details need to be worked out. So it might go into contract before the end of the year, but it won't happen until next year. So I would like to ask that you take the money that has been budgeted for this event and know that it will roll into 2026 as it sits right now. That's my ask tonight.
And having sat in the same workshop with the same questions that some of the council members had, where the state of the art plan is, I personally feel this is this is like a big win-win for us and the city, because this is a major event and it could be big. And if it's going to be big, there was one comment that was made, well, it was Art Commission's money. You can use your money where you want. And it was almost like they tossed it at us to say, good luck with it. Wasn't our fault. We had questions about whether we had, So now the whole dynamic has changed because we'll have an art plan. This will be the number one thing on the art plan from a strategic, this is our big event for next year. We're going to put in our money. But now we have more time to bring in players that I know, Valerie, you've said, other people to be involved. The city will be involved. The chamber will be involved. So this can become even bigger, and we'll have more help, and we don't have to rush it.
Yeah.
So that's the message when you see this. And like I said, I was a little miffed myself with the article. How did that get out in the paper? But anyways. Okay, Therese.
Is there any chance we could squeeze in a couple teasers?
That's what I was talking about.
I mean, like 3 artists come for a day and everybody. I mean, if he knows somebody in the region that wants to just show off. So we can just build expectations.
I won't steal Valerie's idea. Go.
Which one? I have 2. To piggyback off the Downtown Main Street Association, which I already had chatted with Cynthia about, they are not going to be doing a chalk thing this year. But, I mean, we could always talk to them and see if maybe we donated money, if we could make an event, and then we could showcase what we were going to present next year. And then I also was talking to a fellow patron today, and they suggested that we could maybe showcase it at the music festival. So, but I know that's a lot of different things and avenues, but it's a way to say, hey, we're partnering with one of these other umbrellas of the city that we all know we have multiple ones of, but we want to partner with you guys and showcase art because that's all we're trying to do. So, but I'm not sure funding, permitting, all that kind of stuff, how that really works.
Yeah, we'll just so that we get it on the record I'll let you make the motion. Yep.
I would like to make a motion that funds that have been budgeted for Chalk Fest 2025 roll into as needed into 2026 to have the event in July of 2026.
I second the motion.
All in favor? Passes. Okay, let's move on to wrapping of the electrical boxes update. And Brandon, we have any news?
We do have news.
Wait, is there any good news?
I am going to correct the record that I had last time. So for the update at the Art Commission meeting on March 13th, I gave an update on the electrical box wraps and misspoke, so I wanted to revise my statement from the last meeting. Last meeting, Valerie asked me if we had put out the bid to only on island and if they were opened up to everything off island as well. I responded with it was open to everybody, and that was incorrect. So because of the low amount of the project, it was a quote process that was only opened to Blue Fox Drive-In, Whidbey Signs, and Sound Business Center. We did not receive any of the quotes, and nobody submitted a quote by 2 p.m. on March 27th, which was our deadline. So after that, that was a Wednesday. On Friday, we had received a call, I believe, from Whidbey Signs expressing disappointment in missing the quote deadline. At that point, there was nothing we could do to offer them a chance to submit their quote. So since we did not receive any local vendors for the quoted project, we're going to utilize the state small work roster to advertise statewide to anybody. We're going to keep the timeline the same, which is the September 1st for the work to be completed. And this will, opening it up to the state roster, I believe will, as long as Whidbey Signs are on the state MRSC roster, they will be able to bid for this project. So they missed the first time, but they will have a second opportunity to bid.
I know you're so disappointed. So this is a situation we don't know what we don't know as a commission. And we're learning, and part of JR and I's conversation about our strategic planning session for our plan, when we get the plan adopted and we get to sit down and talk about our low-hanging fruit and what we want to do, is going to be a session, or we'll ask for a session of the city for Sandra and Brandon and everybody to participate so we understand what has to happen with what projects. So it's not piecemealed and fed to us slowly, or when we get to one spot. And again, the plan will trigger those things too, right? Like if they answer, yes, this is an installation, it'll trigger that we have to go into procurement for this kind of stuff. So we recognize that we didn't know all of this had to happen for the simplest thing of wrapping these electrical boxes. And I think you two have been after this for 3 years now, 7 years now. So the level of frustration is high. JR's face is red, that's why I'm talking. But we didn't know what we didn't know. So Brandon, thank you for bringing us up to speed on the bid process that we now know has to happen for these things. And we'll move forward and get it done.
Thank you, Brandon. I didn't mean to create a disruption or anything. I just know from living in previous states, when you do a bid for things or companies I've worked for, you usually go outside of the area. And unfortunately, we're pigeonholed here. And I'm also doing this for my job as well because we're relocating. So I am finding that on island is not always the best option. And we're just trying to make sure we use the city's resources at its best discretion. So.
I'm pressing the button. Okay. No, I had the button pressed first. When the art plan goes out, this is the classic example of all these appendices where we'll know where something is in the project, and we don't have to find out at one of our meetings that somebody missed a window. We would know that there was a window coming up, and we could, if we had to get involved in this, we reminded on this, we'd be aware of it, because, yeah, this is sad. Sad. Therese.
Well, I kind of had an idea for Dawn because I watched her wrap the first one with grant money, but we can select the boxes and they can actually just pre-wrap them with the color and then apply a sticker of art. And that will make it go really fast and less expensive. Yeah, they just have to wrap like lime green, whole box, and then they put on, because on the boxes that I worked with, they did add after the fact stickers, which was the same material.
There's no difference in process.
The process that we had on the original bid was to wrap with a image. We did not do a colored wrap and then a sticker on top. Is that the route that we want to go?
No, we want to do it right. We've already committed and gone down the road of doing it right, and in doing it makeshift still would require us to go back into the process. Why would we pick?
Yes.
Would be signed, we'd have to put it out to 3 bids to do that. So it's still stuck in the process. So let's go with the process that we're still stuck in, that might be moving a little bit.
Okay.
Can I say something?
Yep.
So when is the new deadline?
The new deadline for the completion of the work is still September 1st.
When they can put their bids in.
We've not done
you
the
don't have it.
MRSC yet. We'll have to do that. Sandra's off on vacation, so
Okay.
we'll have to do that at a later date. Whenever I find out that information, I can let you guys know.
Okay. And I mean, I think it's easy. We could do complete wrapping or we could do color and stickers. Whoever we pick for the bid, we can work with them. Yeah. Thank you, Brandon.
The original bid that was going out was to try to get 3 to 4 boxes wrapped starting in May, finishing the job in September. It would be a 1-year contract. Then we could re-look at it to do the rest of the boxes, so we would probably do like 3 to 4 boxes a year as fast as we could get them out. And probably looking at doing that like in nicer weather, so like the May to September timeframe. So that's the goal, and we don't have to really discuss anything until we get the bids.
Do you have any teachers with student art waiting?
It doesn't matter, they're not going to see it until next May. I mean, if you look at it, unless we get something going here super fast here in the summertime, yeah, we can talk to them, but we can't give anybody information of when this might happen.
No, the bid that we're going to submit to the Small Works roster is still going to have the deadline of September 1st, so we're still shooting to get the 3 to 4 boxes wrapped this year by September 1st.
Okay, and I do know that the center has digitized photographs of seagulls that are all ready to go. So I will personally reach out to the art teachers and tell them that we're moving along. Okay. Let's go to the Oak Harbor Chamber Luncheon Sponsorship Update. I think, Liz, you pretty much, we covered this with the art plan rollout.
Yep, I think I would just say that you are set to be the presenting sponsor on the May 15th luncheon. And so part of that comes with, I believe it's 10 minutes of microphone time. So we'll work on what that looks like, that presentation. And as well as one side of an 8.5 by 11 flyer on all of the tables in their stanchion. So we'll also create, whatever that is, and hopefully it'll be the same thing we can use at the redevelopment workshop and at all the other presentations. So
we're at the point now that will be like what Mary said, or actually Tracy might have used the word evangelism, of letting anybody and everybody know, anybody that wants to listen. So if you have a group, because we will have the slide deck, we will know what the presentation is, and anybody can, let's put it this way, we should all be able to present. Because you might be in that forum. There you go. We should all be able to present this thing, and that's like the slide deck should probably be on your phone so that you can say, hey, here we go. Load that up and load it up, and I'm off. I can speak to you. I'll go to the church and, whatever. So. Oh, yeah, invite people to come. Yeah, you guys are, for the chamber, we can go grab a table, right? If we're sponsored, that means we can all go sit at the table, because we could introduce people's.
Yeah, let me find out. I'll find out if it's
A little kiddie table in the corner.
No, I'll find out what comes with the sponsorship, or if we need to register additional people. It would be helpful to know who is planning to attend from the committee, if you're able to even now, just.
May 15th.
Yeah. So then we can know.
Thursday morning, it's a luncheon.
1, 2, 3, 4.
I would like to make a motion right now that any of us that go, we could use our funds to pay for the lunch. Pay for our lunch, is that legal?
I believe it is. Let me check through the process of things, but yes, I believe chamber luncheons can be purchased for business purposes, yes.
Okay.
So I'll work through that process.
If that is legal, I would propose that anybody that comes, your lunch is paid.
It starts at 11 and then goes to 1.
Skip
Yeah,
school.
11:30.
Oh, no, don't. If you need to get out, let me know. So,
Yeah.
again, I make a motion that if it's allowed, I would like, use Art Commission fund to pay for lunch for anybody that wants to attend. All in favor? It's unanimously maybe, if it's legal. Okay. Okay, now we'll go to F, which is the Flintstone Park interpretive sign discussion.
Yes. So I would like to discuss, and I'm looking for a direction on what you guys are looking for the interpretive sign. I spoke with Humphreys Signs, and I have a quote for an 18-inch by 24-inch display frame with a 4x4 pressure-treated wood post. The sign would have printed graphics and a message about the artist with an acrylic protective face to protect against vandalism. The sign would be installed in a concrete footer. The price includes purchasing the materials, creating and installing of the sign. And so I'm looking for a direction on materials that you would like to use for a sign, size of sign, and anything else sign related.
I thought it was supposed to be like the other kiosks that are throughout the city. The 3-sided kiosks, so it could have something about Drake, something about Sebastian, and something about, yeah.
Okay.
So it's cohesive with the city. The one at the top of the trail.
Okay. Yeah.
So it's got actually information that you could put about the Flintstone car that they're trying to turn into a historical monument. So there's 6 sides that you can put information on
Okay.
instead of just one sign. Because we also have in our agreement with the Drake Estate, they're supposed, and we're going to pay for it, Sculpture Northwest, there's supposed to be a plaque with a saying that square pegs and round holes and misfits and all that was George Drake's favorite saying, and he made it clear that that was going to accompany the angel. So that needs to put either on the sign or on a brass plaque on the base.
That's what I thought.
Cynthia.
That was going on the base.
I see this as a larger I mean, I agree with you, Teresa. I think the kiosk or the storyboard, however, whatever you want to call them, was the original idea and conversation around this. But as far as signage goes on our art inventory, I think it's a larger project than just piecemealing it out. I mean, the storyboard for the Flintstone Park is a given, but as far as signs go, we've all talked about it. It has to be a uniform sign throughout the city with a QR code directing and doing all kinds of stuff. So the storyboard was, and we've never, no one has ever told us how much those things cost. I mean, we've been around 6-7 years, and I don't know how much Public Works pays for those things. But it was agreed upon, because there's the history of the pier that you can see at low tide that could go on one side. The story of the artist and the saying from George Drake's could be the three.
And the Flintstone car.
And the Flintstone car. The history there.
Whatever it is, I would like to have it come to the commission to see and approve.
A mock-up?
The mock, whatever mock-up you have, the words, because this was a lot of work that was put in to get this thing, set. And then it's like somebody else running off and putting signage in without asking us what we wanted. And especially when I'm looking over at this person here that put in her heart, soul, blood, and all sorts of other body parts. But to have her be involved.
You might, I don't know if they have a file about the work that they do, but when they installed Verena Schwippert's vessels that are at the top of the trail, the stone vases,
Yeah.
and they added her to the sign,
Okay. Yep.
they did it and didn't show me how they did it, but it was done. And
Okay.
for some reason, I thought the other paper, the nice paper, the guy that owned the nice paper was in charge of printing the sign. So it's just connecting the dots or going back and finding a file. I know Gideon was closely involved in.
Okay.
He went to Verena's house and got personal information from her in Arlington to come back and tell her story on the story sign. So somebody knows more than we know about the sign.
Carla?
I think the uniformity of the signs is a fantastic idea. I worry about if we do an art walk in the Friend Marsh, we're not putting those kind of signs up for every piece. They will have something smaller. Okay. I think it's a great idea, and I think that information needs to be put on there. I don't know about the Flintstone car on there, but maybe that should have
Okay,
a
I
smaller
agree with
sign.
you. I was being sarcastic.
Anybody else have anything? We good? Okay, let's move on to the Gateway to Inspiration and Three Totems Kinnebrew Collection update.
Yes, that's my update as well. We're going to have a theme tonight. It's going to be looking for a little bit of clarification. I have a PowerPoint presentation. I had sent out Cynthia an email that got sent around a little bit. So I want to just clarify, I guess, on that email. So the three totems, I'm putting together a scope of work for the three totems, and I just needed some clarification. Whenever I was going around there, we had discussed the totems, whether they were painted, whether they were not painted. We had already discussed sandblasting, the need of sandblasting the totems. Whenever we were moving around the totems to get weights, I noticed that there is coloring on them. There's blue, there's red, there's purple, and a yellow or green. I just wanted to know whether you guys wanted to go down that rabbit hole of repainting them. If we do, what do they look like? If we're just sandblasting them, then that's perfect, and we can do that.
The color that you see on them is from their first life, which was a long time
Okay.
ago. And they were taped to be painted right after we acquired them, and then they got taken out of coverage and put out in a field, and then the tape just melded into the metal.
Okay.
So they have to be sandblasted, but there's no point in investing in powder coating and paint.
Okay? That's easy. The next question was, last meeting, Therese had brought up potentially changing the heights of the statues, the three totems. There is a three-inch height differential between the statues. Yeah, you're looking maybe about like that. So I wanted to know, is that sufficient for you guys? Would you like to build in the different elevation to the concrete and change that even more?
I think a little more difference will add
Variation.
more balance, even though that doesn't make sense for balance. But 3 inches isn't noticeable as much as just pour the pad another 4 inches or 5 inches high and keep some down and, I mean, the math. And how close are they going to be together?
That's what I'm,
No, it's not. It's all of our call.
I was going to say, what's for
Therese,
when it comes
Therese,
to
tell us what we're supposed to do.
what's traditional.
Well,
I don't think they were meant to be on pedestals. I would like to see them.
they have to be bolted to concrete.
Well, yes, but not elevated at different heights. I'd have to see them. I want to see them. And that's kind of the placement too, but we'd have to see it. So it's like we have to be involved, sorry.
Is there a traditional way?
Can you stand them up somewhere and then just put a quick bolt down so that they can just stay standing?
that's where I'm going next.
Okay,
Yeah,
all right, then we'll come out and
we-
visit him and we'll have a
we did-
conversation.
We did not do that, yeah, whenever we moved them, we did not try to stand them up. That was where my head went whenever we didn't see these. Let me try to get them on a relatively flat surface to at least take pictures. If I can get them standing up and solid to get you guys out there, we will do that. But if I have to just snap some pictures, I'll go 360 around the entire statues, get it from all angles. I'll take a video so that we can see it from everywhere. Okay.
I have one more thing I'd like to just add I remember this from one of my art teachers, about about the question of space. And he said, if you just a little bit, that's just not going to give you the visual impact that you did anything. It's going to look like a mistake. So you either don't, line them, or you make it a distinction so you visually can see it.
Then the last question that I had for the three totems is, how is the statue going to be placed? I don't know. You guys are the artists. Do you want that in a line? I can see a line of three, or I can see a cluster of three.
So did I. Well, and the placement committee can work with you when we see him
Okay.
standing to answer that question
Perfect.
too, right, Brandon? Yeah.
where we think they need to be, and we take some pictures and email them. We'll be a total.
Okay.
Is there an original way they were supposed to be, or height or anything, or is it just whatever they are? But I'm saying, like, was there, that's what I was asking, because they're, native, right? Like, they're not? Oh, okay. I was thinking, I just thought, what? What? But we don't know how they were.
And they're metal, they're just metal square balls.
I was just making sure they were doing the newer smell.
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah.
And it wasn't like a piece of native American art. Like, maybe one guy. Cool.
You never saw them originally.
Okay, that's in work.
Right.
We got a little bit of work
Okay.
to do on that. What about Gate to Inspiration?
Yes, Gate of Inspiration. Let me share my screen here real quick. So this is where I understand the original location for the Gate of Inspiration is. This is located across the street from Windjammer Park. The red dot there is the memorial bench that is out there, and the blue dot is right behind the memorial bench with there's a retaining wall back there as well. So,
Is that bench new? Is it
not
been-
in the last year and a half.
Okay.
No.
I don't remember seeing it, but
It's been here as long as I have been.
Okay.
Yeah. So here's a picture of the location, and I'm just asking for another clarification again. I was under the impression that the idea was to put the statue, the Gate of Inspiration, on top of the retaining wall, the mound there.
No,
Okay.
it was in front of it more, I think. We should walk out there and look at it again, obviously.
Okay. There is enough space. There's not enough space. I don't believe there's enough space on top of that mound.
No.
I got 5 by 6. The base of the statue is 7 by 6. And so I don't think it's going to fit there. If the intention was to knock down the mound, I believe there's enough space there.
I think it was supposed to be set farther back and over, yeah. I think, like I said, we should just go out there and we can show you.
Okay. That would be, that's
Or it could be on the other side of the path.
That
I
was-
don't really want it on the west end.
perfect. Okay.
And I'm the boss, no.
So now you're speaking for all of us on this one. No, a different one was the totems. Oh, okay, all right.
I saw your words about the anchor bolts.
Yes.
And I don't think you need to re-powder coat it, but once you drill the holes and before you put the bolts in, I would probably seal that so that it's not prone to rusting. I don't think you need to re-powder coat a drilled hole where there's going to be a bolt over it.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes, we're gonna have to weld. It's got it's a square notch that's welded onto the actual statue.
The top?
No, those are grabbing.
Yeah.
Yep. No, I'm talking about the bottom of the statue. There's one bolt hole to there's three pillars. There's 3 holes in each of the pillars, which I'm assuming is for water to exit the statue. And there's one welded anchor point on the bottom of the statue for a through bolt to go into. So I can only see one anchor point on the statue, and in order to effectively put those other anchor points on, they would have to take that powder coating off to get metal on metal contact, weld it together, and so that would be.
It's just not drilling a hole and putting in a bolt in the concrete?
They're hollow.
The metal plate is hollow?
The feet on the bottom are hollow.
I haven't seen it in a year or two.
Okay, work to be
We'll
done.
figure it out.
Yeah.
The one thing I would add, my thing on this thing, as I thought about it from the very first, when I saw it, was pointing that thing so that it's looking out at one point with the way the sun rises.
I want the sun to go through it.
The sun has to go through it, and you pick the best angle where there's a gap, where you could see the sunrise. And that day that it comes up, and it'd be better if it was sometime in the spring to summertime, because it'd be earlier, and it's almost like we've got our own eclipse going, and people would come out there, oh, look, it's coming up on July 15th. Every July 15th, the sun comes right through here on sunrise. So that's my input. The totems, you can stack them on top of each other. So, okay. Are we done with that? Can we move on? Brandon, are you good?
Yep.
So now we'll go to the redevelopment of downtown waterfront district public workshop on Thursday, April 17th. I know I was at the first one. I've seen I'd like to comment on it from a standpoint, well, let's see. On the 15th, we'll have the art plan would technically be approved, right?
The question is, Maggie's offered us a spot in the grant, right?
Yes, so it'll be held at the Yacht Club, and Maggie would like to know if you'd like to have a table, and if art commissioners would be there, and we would then need to provide whatever our handout is that we want to have. Or
Oh, yeah, the first question that one of the commissioners asked, was there going to be wine? I won't, I won't comment on that. Carla, did you have a question, another question?
Would be, because we're waiting for that, the city to approve the stuff on the 15th, correct? Will we have enough turnaround time to get stuff to present at the 17th?
Yeah, so the thought is we would meet ahead of time because we're going to need a prep for everything else and feeling pretty good that the city council is going to move forward with the arts plan. I think we can, right, go ahead and make those plans so that we would have it prior to the 17th. And it would really be something like a handout or a flyer for this.
Having attended the first workshop and the way that the discussions went and all the development, it was all focused there and talking about 5-story high-rises and putting things, and they did not look to where the art plan identified a major through point being Midway. And that was not talked about in the planning, and we ended up mentioning that, saying, the art plan, the art commission is thinking that Midway is the proper avenue or a very opportune avenue to go into the downtown area where you could build up your affordable housing or whatever and build a bike path and walking paths and trees, because that's where there's property. So that's almost like a little input from the art commission, just, but. Okay, so, anybody, I think I can make it. I'll have to look at my calendar, but we can.
Next Thursday? The 17th?
yeah.
Oh, I can do that.
Okay,
Okay, so just to be clear, there's no presentations happening at all that evening?
No,
But
it's-
it'll be a table, and people will just be coming to the different tables, looking at information, open house style, and so you would be sitting at the table engaging with community members?
if anything, they'd see our map that's in there that talks about where art is and where it's going, and we can say, hey, well, by the way, don't forget about Midway Avenue. Okay?
Okay, and so who said that they'll be there to man the booth? Okay.
I think,
Valerie, Tracy. Okay, thank you.
thanks for shooting my arm up like that, okay? So now it's next, another outreach thing would be the Oak Harbor Chamber, the Culture Fest. May 3rd, May 4th, 11 to 5. Are we interested in having a table or presence at that event?
What does that event entail?
New name for Holland County.
Oh, thank you for refreshing my memory on that.
Oh.
So if you wanted to have a booth, and I believe you had one last time, but this year it could be, next to, if there's other city booths happening, it would be next to them. We could all be together. But again, it would be a commitment from art commissioners to be there to man it for the duration. And it is 11 to 5 on both days.
I'm actually going to be out of town.
That's May 3rd and 4th.
I can do Sunday. I possibly could do Saturday. I just have to see if a husband can shuttle a child to dance.
I do not know yet.
Well, last year, we had both the,
We named the ducks.
yes, the Name the Ducks and the coloring contest too as well, but also then we had the art plan outreach. So what would be something we would want to?
That's it. Me personally, I'm thinking before we were looking for input of any kind. We were just in receive mode, and we were, give us information. Where do you want? What do you like to see? Now we're not. Now we're into a push mode more, and people going by, unless we have something that's really cool to give away, I'm hitting onesie, twosie, or somebody that's, what do you got for me? There's no crayons here? You got, no, there's no candy? What? Whereas when I go to the chamber, or we go to Main Street, or we go to a church or something like that, we've hit a captive audience that knows exactly what we're talking about. And this one, I don't think that we, sitting there at a table would buy us the outcome that we're really hoping for. That's just my opinion.
I do think by being next to the city stuff this year versus last year, because we were segregated, that could be helpful. I do think that it would be nice to show the people that this is what we've done in a year. And this is what we've just got this approved. This is what we're doing. We can even show them, have the art plan, have the 10 slides on an iPad or whatever out there, just going through. And then that way we can even have the forms out there. If anyone's interested, they could take it. And then it's a way to, I think it's just a way to show that we're doing something. But that's just my opinion. I mean, I understand what it was like last year. Day one was not. We had a lot of interaction, but the weather played a part.
The difference is last year we were in receive mode. People were coloring. We were giving away things. They were pinning things. We're trying to get interest. We're not trying to get interest right now. We're more in a push mode, and this would be onesie, twosie, talking to people. If you would like to do that, I'm fine, but I don't think, me personally, that I would get as much bang for the buck sitting there talking about the art plan there. I could see being next to the Parks and Rec, or being in that area. If anybody wanted to talk to about the art plan, they could. And we might get our onesie, twosie thing, but it would not be a dedicated, focused audience as much as going in front of the chamber or another large group where they know they're coming to listen to you talk about the art plan.
I don't think it's necessary, actually, for us to do that this year.
I mean, if we still had their stuff at the city's things promoting it, that would not be necessary to have to be there, but we're still.
Well, who wants to do it? Does anybody want to do it? Because my hand's not up. I'm a non-player on this. I'm to be honest, last year I thought was Holland Happening, but I missed that last year because I was sitting at the table. Okay, I missed it last year because I was sitting at the table the whole time, blowing bubbles and and harassing kids as they walk by. I'd kind of like to walk and harass them and get to see what else is going on there. I didn't even get to go down to see all the cool stuff that the Parks and Rec booth was doing. I was down there stealing some of the stuff so I could bring it back to our booth. Okay, Tracy.
I think this year it doesn't make as much sense because we don't have an intention. If we had an intention, I'd say let's slip in. I'd say let's put it in our back pocket maybe for the following year. If, as we're planning and doing things and rolling out our plan this year, it makes sense and an intention comes up, let's take advantage of that to meet with the public then.
So I'm getting the feeling that we're passing on this.
All right, that's perfect. Thank you.
And now we don't have any subcommittee updates because we haven't had any subcommittee updates. Then we go to Park and Rec Director updates.
And seeing as our fearless leader isn't here, we'll keep it nice and sweet and short. And really, I'll just tell you that the brand new activity guide will be hitting your mailboxes. They just went to the post office today. It's out digitally already and has been pushed out. There are some here if you want to take one as well. And the next big thing is our wearable art show, which we're very excited about, and many of you sitting here are involved, and the Art Commission is a partner. Thank you. And so the planning for that is coming along speedily, and the days are getting closer, and there's much to do. So, but it's coming together and be wonderful. I'm looking forward to seeing many of you there. Then I did meet with the mermaids of Pirates and Mermaids today, and the planning is well underway for that as well. We will have the booths doing art and craft projects. Would love any of your input if you have an idea for a booth there, and also if you want to be involved in volunteering and helping. And again, I'll send out an invitation with information for that as well. The date is June 28th. And I would mention if, if there was an interest in doing a sneak peek for Chalk Fest for the future, and there was an artist or two, this might be a fun event. There's a lot of space right there. That's where the event will be, correct? The Chalk Fest event, and a lot of people will already be coming and seeing, and that could be kind of a fun, especially if they themed it into something like that. That might be something that we can chat about. So, yes, summer camps people are signing up for summer camps. Spread the word on that as well, and that's what I have. Anything from Parks?
Everything's growing out in parks. We are trying to cut the grass as fast as we can, and it's not working very well. So we have been mowing a lot. Nothing on the art-related front.
Any questions?
Okay. Let's go around to member comments. We're going around. Reese, you got anything? Oh, come on.
She's on vacation, leave her.
Oh, man, that's right. Oh,
Remember how
I'm sorry about that. Okay, all right.
One thing, I just know from when I was at the pool, they did the rain shadow thing of mermaids at the pool one time, and we did that with the feathers for the statue. So that might be something kind of cool to do down at the water park area, and the stencils are relatively cheap. And I think we still have some of the supplies from when, okay, I was going to say, I don't remember if we used them all or not. It was 9 a.m. and we were, yeah. Yeah, so that could be something you can utilize down at Windjammer, since we already have some of the resources.
Therese?
Another one of my long-term projects, the fire hydrants, are needing to be circled back around. So somebody in the future is going to have to take that up, but they're peeling and they look terrible. Well, they need to be power washed and brushed, and then there has to be an artist, somebody has to put it all back together. Maybe not even this year, but it is coming, because there are 2 or 3 that are just really bad. Yeah.
Tracy, you got anything?
Well, I've had this idea, and I'm not sure what it's called, but it's related to maybe some things we were going to do with the Flintstone Park. That historic part of the bridge that's still out in the water. What is it called when you do one of those? And I think they paint them on plexiglass or something, and they put it down so that you could see what that bridge or that dock would have looked like back in the day when it. What are those called?
Historical thingamajigger.
Is it like 3D painting on plexiglass or what?
Maybe it's a graphic so that you see the real leftover part of the bridge through the plexiglass, but then an artist has gone in and painted all around it, or of what it would have looked like.
Oh, you know what? We shouldn't talk about too many of these, but I will. With the world of AI, QR codes, and your phone, you could almost do that where you have your phone and you could go around and say, this is what Oak Harbor looked like. You could have a vision of it. So,
Yeah, well, it's just because it sits out there, and I
Yeah.
wouldn't have known about it until Cynthia, it's like, what is that thing out there? And Cynthia told me, but I'm sure there's a lot of folks in town who have no idea.
I want to put art on it.
Use some of your low-hanging fruit when we
okay.
That and the fire hydrants.
All right.
Okay, I do have a
Thanks.
comment. I'm really a little alarmed and disappointed that that the Arts Commission and the Parks Department came together. We've spent a lot of time thinking about what's best for the community
I'm with you.
about the Flintstone Park and what the city council decided on. I think they put way too much emphasis on Facebook and Facebook comments, and I think the people who comment on Facebook about what's going on in the city are practicing civic disobedience. We are a community, and we are supposed to be working for everyone in the community. It's not personal, it's not emotional, and I feel like it was the wrong decision. And I also feel about the flagpole, that was part of the whole
Promise.
angel promise that that flagpole was going to be moved, and now it's still here. So we have to jump through hoops to make the city council happy, and I think they need to do that for us too. And on the flip side, that was part of the agreement, and they need to live up to that agreement, and to just decide that Facebook is the polling place is wrong. I think our city council members spend too much time on Facebook listening to people who are very emotional about the city not changing, and we change. The whole world is changing, and if we don't embrace change, we have a real problem, I think. So that's my comment.
We actually have had a really good opportunity to create a beautiful piece of real estate and not just a pity-potty driveway, and make it balanced and grassed where somebody could maybe have a wedding or a stargazing party or a dance or something on this beautiful piece of real estate that right now looks it's horrible. And the flag's even ugly.
Yeah.
I mean, God bless America, but the flag could go away and it's still off balance in that park. We're going to need more trees, we need more grass, we need,
Okay, that's for later discussion.
we need
Right.
to go back around
All right.
and fight for it.
Cynthia,
She agrees.
your turn. It's your turn.
Well, thank you, Carla, for speaking up. I also was very disappointed in the city council's decision on which direction to go with Flintstone Park. That's all I have to say.
I am so happy that you guys brought that up, because now I don't feel so bad when I bring it up and say how torqued I am at this. You guys put it nicely. And when I presented the art plan at the workshop, there was a comment that said, we're moving forward on this. We've always had a little bit of a rub between city council and the art commission. This would be a step in the right direction. And then the next day is when they turn around and went completely against a unanimous decision of what we did. And that's the second time, or the third time, that we've had unanimous decisions from the art commission to go up to city council, and it's completely blown off. And it's, like Carla said, it's going to Facebook, or worse, when they said a survey. And I'm like, what survey? What survey was run through us? We never heard of a survey. So that when you turn around, it's like, why are we even here? And in fact, I even remember, you can go back and look at the video, because when Brian said, hey, they just want your input. And we talked about the Flintstone Park for about an hour, and I said, does our input even matter? Yes. Good. Here's a unanimous input. Do whatever you want. Take the flagpole out. Unanimous input on the other side was, we're going to expand and we're going to leave the flagpole. So now, if you don't think that that makes us angry, you know, it's like, why are we here volunteering and doing this thing? If you're not going to listen to us, and you're going to be the art commission, go ahead, be the art commission. We'll save you, you know, go ahead, here's your art plan, go off and run with it. If you want us to be an art commission, and we've polled people, and then they do Facebook, and Facebook is just your friends. That's just friends of that friend. My friends don't, they barely know how to turn on a phone. So for them to get an opinion on Facebook, that doesn't happen. So we're got lies, damn lies, and statistics. Now, I will get on the soapbox like what to do. This is, oh, JR had because I was so angry when I read the thing in the paper. And the thing was, Cynthia made such a brilliant comment as a public comment talking about all of the commissions that are volunteering and doing this work, and then at the same time getting slapped in the face like, thank you very much, but no. But I got an idea.
Okay.
The flagpole. You know where you should put it? No. We should talk to the school district, because there are 2 new schools that are going up, and half of those schools they're happening because the military came through and with matching funds. And every school needs a flagpole. So you put that flagpole that has some significance and historical meaning and history, and you put that in front of one of these new schools, and now you have every day kids go out there and raise the flag, and on Veterans Day, veterans go to that flag when all the schools are celebrating Veterans Day, and all the kids are out there, and then we can have veterans go there. Win-win for everyone. And on that happy note, let's go to, no, we're done. Member comments.
Savings.
Oh, and as she said, it's a huge savings. Determination of future agenda items. We have to decide when we want to do our strategic meeting. Or, you know, because the next time we will meet, theoretically, we will have an art plan that's approved. So how do we go out the gate, and what do we want to talk about? So we don't have to decide here, but as we leave here, I would just invite everyone to put your thinking caps on to like, okay, because the first thing we have to talk about when we would want to do our strategic meeting, our workshop, and how we, in new subcommittees, if we're going to have new subcommittees, you know.
It should
So-
take place. Could you remind me, Liz, when the budgeting process starts for the city for 2026?
It's a 2-year, so it's a 2-year budget, 5/26, so then mid-2026 when we start.
Okay, but for our budget, we didn't budget out to 2026. We did annually, so I would suggest that it happens before that process so we can work through those smaller projects we want to see happen before the end of the year, but talk about the larger ones that we want to invite the community's input on for 2026, and it rolls with the budget process.
So just put that on, because before we were going, the agenda was kind of driving us. I think now that we have an art plan, we can start driving the agenda more, and you guys, please, if anybody has some cool ideas on what we need to talk about, let's do it. It's not even 7. Wait, how much? Wait a minute, Tracy wants to say something, okay.
As a topic, we've talked around it, but I think it might be a good time at our next meeting to have an agenda item about how the items that the Art Commission has voted in to do or approved to do, and you know, what is going to be the response from those that are actually doing it, and how can we create some communication between the 2 teams and not have things drop all the time.
Yeah.
But
This,
I think I would like to actually discuss it.
there's a couple of things, and I keep thinking, going back to one, the appendices that you put in for like submission,
Yes.
and 2, what Cynthia's been harping on since I've known her about having a spreadsheet where we could track everything over time of what's due, what's the status of something. Is this red, green, tracking? If it's something that's tracking, we don't need to talk about it. But if it's yellow or red, then it moves into like, ooh, what are we doing about this?
Yeah,
So
that's a Gantt chart, that's what that's called.
it's a thingamabob
Yeah, mm-hmm,
chart.
yep.
Can
Okay,
I say something?
Yes.
I almost feel like we need to have an emergency strategic planning. We've got this new plan, we don't know what we're doing, we need to like talk about what we're doing. And yeah, and not, it's not a budget thing, it's just, we need to figure out what we are doing so we know what to present to the community.
Should we try to have this before the chamber luncheon so we all go in barrels loaded? It's over a month away. We don't have to have things,
Yeah, it doesn't have to be like.
there's two things. One of them is to tell everybody what we have as an art plan, that this is the art plan and we're rolling it out. Two, they're going to say, great. And then the other one is us saying, okay, now we've got an art plan. What do we need to do?
Yeah.
How are we going to
Where does it
staff it?
start?
Who's going to, what help do we need from staff? What additional staff? Do we have to, are there additional people? Who do we tap into? Do we look at the youth? Do we start looking at schools? Do we look at, there's mind blown. And we, like you said, we don't know where to start. But we have to start, question, who pays for all this stuff? So we do have a lot of questions. My question would be, if we were going to do this, because the first week that I was on here, we tried to do what we thought was going to be that strategic meeting, and it was during COVID, and we sat 6 feet apart from each other with masks and got lectured on, or not lectured, but here's what your job is as a commissioner, and not letting us chat about,
he's not hearing.
piecing things together, or, what's our vision, where do we go? Right. So how do we, this is kind of like it's not eating an elephant, this is going to be eating a Jeep. And it's going to be one lug nut at a time, and it's not going to, some of them aren't going to taste very good, but we have to have that meeting. And the question I would have, Liz,
Angel of the Winds, let's go to Angel of the Winds for
is-
the weekend.
if we were to meet strategically, does it have to be public? It has to be
If
public.
it's the quorum, yeah.
Okay.
Like, so if you're talking about a subcommittee doing work, no, but if you're a quorum,
Okay.
Don't we just have to put out a public invitation or something like that?
It has to be public. It's going to, yes.
But do we
Okay.
have to live stream it on Facebook?
I would, okay, wait, I would like to say we need a subcommittee right now to talk about how we're going to do the strategic action.
So why don't we do that with Maggie and the staff at the city when we talk about the slide deck presentation?
Perfect.
Because
Okay.
they have to be involved with educating us on something.
And Maggie will
Okay.
put you in the right direction.
yeah,
And that-
we'll add that to the agenda.
That will
list of
be,
items.
that's the number one thing that we put on our agenda is how we're doing, not, the rollout is one, but implementation of the art plan.
Sorry, I was going to adjourn us. Go ahead,
Just
Tracy.
one last comment back to the meeting you're going to have with Maggie. I think what's maybe missing here is answering, so whoever your audience is, the most important thing to communicate is why it's important to them. Not why it's important to us or why it's even important to the community, but why it's important to the person who's sitting right there in the room.
Absolutely. May I? I make a motion that we adjourn.
A second.
I third.